Let's look at the US President Barack Obama. He has renewed his vows, if you like, with the American people, being sworn in for a second term as president. It comes a day ahead of the massive public ceremony, with crowds of up to 800,000 people expected to turn out. Politically, it was a brutal first 4 years, but his second four are expected to be perhaps even tougher. Tom Switzer from the US Studies Centre joins me now. You wrote in this morning's Fairfax Press, Obama's agenda is amounting to the most radical ideological change in generations. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, in American terms, I think that's important. Certainly from a European or even an Australian perspective, Obama's legislative agenda over the last 4 years has not really been all that radical, but from an American tradition where the centre of political gravity is well to the right in America compared to, say, Europe or Australia, it is radical. And if you look at what he's done over the last 4 years, it has been quite remarkable. A huge $1 trillion spending stimulus package that eventually led to the first tax increase, income tax increase in nearly 2 decades. Of course, we know about the nationalised universal healthcare campaign, where the government now controls effectively 1/6 of the US economy, huge wealth redistribution, and of course a lot of those financial reforms in the wake of the collapse of Wall Street. On top of that, of course, David, you have initiatives like gun control. Now, they are quite moderate and mild measures by the President and the Democrats, but nevertheless, from an American perspective, they are quite radical, as John Howard made clear in the New York Times last week.
What would you say is the biggest challenge and the most important task that he faces? Is it the economy?
I think front and centre it is the US economy. The debt mountain is of Himalayan proportions. The debt has increased by more than $1 trillion of every year of the Obama presidency. And on top of that, it's a very sluggish economy. The US recession technically ended at the end of the second quarter in 2009, yet it's been the most sluggish economic recovery since the Great Depression. Growth is only about 1.5 to 2%. So he needs to find a way to, on the one hand, kickstart a very sluggish economy, but at the same time, deal with the Republicans on addressing these insanely high levels of debt. And that's something he hasn't shown much initiative on. He's blaming the Republicans for the fiscal cliff negotiations, and of course we'll hear it all again in a few weeks' time over how to reduce the debt ceiling.
We've just got 20 seconds left,
Sure.
But do you think he'll have as much trouble in his second term dealing with Congress as he did in his first term?
Yes, I think the Republicans and the House of Representatives are acting in a fairly uncompromising manner. There are two schools of thought. There's the political grown-ups, if you like, led by the leader, the Speaker of the House, but then there are these Tea Party factional characters who are more ideological. So I think he will have a tough time. But look, just quickly, it's not just the economy, it's also Iran. That'll be the biggest foreign policy agenda for his second term.
Tom Switzer, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks,
We're out of
David.
time. Thanks for watching. I'm David Lipson.